I've been using Healy for a year and a half, and it's been fantastic. I have had major improvement with Healy. I have the professional and I use the coach and Aura on a regular basis. And for anybody that has a coach available, and because I think Resonance Plus, at least when I bought mine, had coach, I would strongly encourage you to do coach. Also, the Soul Cycle, just like Karen and I shared our experiences offline, I've also had dramatic improvement with Soul Cycle, although not physical. It's way more uh, emotional and mental. The best thing I can say about Time Waver is that whereas Healy gives you some very general information, Time Waver really drills down to a more specific thing to work on. And so I am consistently having father issues come up a lot on my aura interpretation and things like that. And and I have worked on that a lot in therapy for 25 or 30 years and with Healy, and it just keeps coming up. And I've had a lot of insights and stuff with that, even before Healy, but certainly after Healy. And the Time Waver genealogy aspect actually drilled it down to grandfather on both maternal and paternal sides. So I didn't think about it until Karen started talking about that, but now I'm looking far more that it's related to significant ancestral masculine influence on both sides of my family. I also had I will say that it did help support me. I have had less free-floating anxiety almost from the day that it started. And I was traveling a lot, and I was actually helping the ones of you that are on the initiative have heard the story, but I was helping my daughter with her new puppy because the little puppies have to go outside about every 3 hours in the middle of the night. So I was being up all night taking this dog out, and my circadian rhythm was like totally wongo. And I mean, I'm 65 years old, so I don't handle this as well as I used to, although admittedly, as a physician, I had to do that a lot. But I think the Time Waver, my heart rate variability was better. My resilience was good. My aura ring showed my circadian rhythm stuff was really still on gear. I was getting good deep sleep and everything else. So I feel like that if the Time Waver hadn't been going while I was doing that, I probably wouldn't have had nearly as much resilience and support for that. It's also given me a lot more motivation, which is one of the things I was trying to do. I started I started remembering my dreams, which I rarely remember my dreams. And one of the things I was trying to work on with the Healy, with the Healy and also particularly with Time Waver, was to bring my emotions to the surface, because I'm a type 1 Enneagram and I really repress a lot of that stuff just innately. And so I started remembering dreams, and some have been pretty profound, and I'm still working on all that. But that's one of the physical things that I clearly gained from Time Waver. The other thing is, just as we were getting to the end of our first month session, over about a year ago, I got a very significant illness and I was like out of it for 2 days. I wasn't febrile. I was actually, my body temperature was way low, according to my aura. So I wasn't having fever dreams. I was like I think I was kind of half dissociated from my body. Anyway, right after that, 2 days of, like being out there, I started having a lot of significant coughing related to this respiratory illness. And then I did something significant with my neck, to the point that I could hardly bend my neck side to side. I couldn't even hardly drive. I'd have to bend my entire body just to see right to left. So I went through and it's not like I'm not connected to people. I went to chiropractors and my osteopath and acupuncture and all kinds of stuff, Healy, all kinds of things to try to work through this. And I do a lot of body work anyway. And this was really frustrating. So just as our sessions were ending, I was doing a still point, which is a position that you have this little device that you put your head back on. And I had been doing that for weeks. And all of a sudden, I heard this incredible crack in my neck. And I thought, can I move my neck? Am I going to pith myself? But I did move my neck, and like I've had totally free motion in my neck since then. And so that physical restriction was one of the things that Healy mentioned. And, and my insight after that is that I really feel like that after that sort of 2 days of floating out there, not really caring about anything in the material world, I really was rejecting coming back into three-dimensional space and maybe doing my lessons, and so after the neck pop thing, it was just like I had a total physical but also emotional release, like I'm ready to go. So I really think that lock in my neck was my resistance to doing a lot of work, just like we were talking about in the last session. And I think that the time waiver really kind of supported me. But you're right, it's not an immediate thing. I mean, this was after an entire month of transmission and a lot of, I would say, internal work to kind of figure out where it was going, because as Karen said, there's a tremendous amount of information that comes from the time waiver. And it takes, and it does seem overwhelming at first, even for me, the geeky one who sits there with the Healy. And I know Karen's laughing, and I know exactly. She and I've been we do geek out in this. But once I started looking at it and just took it, one section at a time, I agree the meridian thing did show up significantly, things I had not been thinking about, as well from, the standard Healy stuff. The other thing I found really valuable is that Eva sends this coherence MP3, which is about 30 minutes of noise. And I mean, a couple of other friends who were kind of curious about a time waiver, both of them are energy medicine people and both of them have Healy, and they listen to it and they go, that's horrible. But for me, it's just like, I just want to put it on all the time. And I don't, because it's just, it's one of those things. I try to do it daily. I try to actually do it more than once a day. But that coherence thing, I do it now fairly regularly as I'm trying to kind of get ready for bed, like teeth and all that stuff. And so
just to interject, it's like your own personal script of white noise. That's the only way to describe it.
Yes.
Your white noise frequency for you.
Yeah, because what this is, it's I do analyze the frequencies that are right for you. It's not the generic, as Karen just said, it's not a generic file. Right. Which is why, so this is a sound file MP3 that you get with a session, but which is why for Glynda, it was resonating, and for other people, it wasn't. That's the reason why, because there were the frequencies that were chosen for her.
Right. And so once I started using it, I was having some trouble getting it some into more deep sleep, because I used to be really good on the deep sleep, and then I went on all this traveling and I was fine then. But once I came home and kind of got back in the grind, because I was 6 weeks behind on the things I needed to do at the house, and I'm sure a lot of that was stress related in the middle of the night trying to deal with it. But once I started listening to the coherence kind of as a part of my bedroom routine, my deep sleep has dramatically improved and my heart rate variability has gone up. So that's kind of, and those are objective measures, so I do think that the coherence is a very valuable part, and I had always enjoyed it, but now I have some legitimate validation to me, which in my mind is another piece of that placebo effect that even helps me enjoy it more. But so I think time waiver is extremely valuable. I think that if you do it and you don't even analyze the information. Clearly, you're going to get a lot, but I think you're cheating yourself if you don't look at some of the information coming down. And like I said, that coherence MP3, I think, is just, kind of solidifying a lot of that information in very tangible ways. Because I'm a kind of science analyze, biohacker type person. And so seeing some validation is even more meaningful to me, but I could feel it. I never felt the transmissions. I don't even feel transmissions from Healy. I have friends who have Healy that they feel the transmissions. I don't feel the transmissions, but I can definitely feel the effects. So again, I'm looking forward to doing more with the time waiver as well, because I feel like I got a year and I'm still using Healy regularly. 3 pink apps and blue app twice a day. So it's not like, I feel like that's just supporting, but I will say that my blue app resonance, interrogation, the queries have changed drastically from before I had the time waiver transmissions until now afterwards. They have shifted in a huge way. Because I analyze that stuff pretty regularly. And so I think that you talk about peeling the onion. In my mind, the Healy sets the foundation and the Healy is the support system. And then the time waiver drills down on very specific, type issues that apparently the Healy obviously can't deal with because the technology is just not as powerful. But I've had a lot of really positive experiences with it. It's been worthwhile for me. And the good thing is that, like Karen said, once you get through certain things, like they're gone, and I have had these neck issues for at least 2 decades. I wore a TENS unit for almost a decade. And then I got over a fair amount of it. And I think what Healy did was, actually the respiratory COVID thing kind of kicked in the last round of it. And then the time waiver sort of released that, because I haven't had this much flexibility in my neck since I was in my 20s. So I feel like it's really gotten a really deep layer that I believe probably will not return. It feels very complete, I guess is the best way to put it. So.